Hello, everyone. We are just going to wait a few more minutes, probably about 2 more minutes, just to see if anyone else can come on in. But welcome to the very first ever Lobby Shop After Dark program. This program we are doing is to help highlight all these artists that are usually with us in our physical shop. Obviously, right now, because of the pandemic, we don't have one, but just because we don't have that doesn't mean that any of us are going away. We're right here. We're ready to go. Today, we do have Mandy Ramsey with us. She is the creator of Soul Happy Art. She's going to talk a lot about her artwork. She's going to talk about her process. She made a great video about her space. I don't know about you guys, but I love seeing everybody's spaces that encourage them and that they thrive in for creating. So we'll be doing that. And we're just gonna let a few more people in. How tonight is gonna go is that we are gonna do some introductions. We're gonna show a video that Mandy made, and then we are going to do a little bit of a Q&A session. I do have some questions that I have created beforehand for her. But if you have any questions, if you want to, as artists or as people who might be interested in her process, if you have anything that you want to ask her about, feel free just to type that in the chat box and we will get to them as we talk. So I'll ask my questions, but if she's in the middle of answering, I'll make sure that I do see your question. I have it right up here.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, Rayma. And thanks everyone for coming. This is very cool.
Yeah, this is really cool. Thank you for hosting me.
Oh, of course. Also, as the days get a little darker, this is like perfect for us to kind of brighten up.
Yeah, and it's great to be able to connect.
Awesome. Well, I'm seeing people in the chat. So I'm going to do one more introduction before we get into the video. This is Mandy Ramsey. She is from Haines, Alaska. She is one of the artists in our lobby shop. I asked her before because she has actually been with the Jack longer than I have been. And I think you said it was about 5 years that you've sold your stuff with us. So we love it. We're very excited to show some of her stuff. At the end of this, you will be linked to both of our, the Jack Lobby Shop. We have all of her stuff 10% off for a week. And we will also link you to her store because she has a lot of products we don't carry. So any yogis that are looking for awesome mats, journals, stuff like that, she has it. Do you want to do a little introduction to yourself? Just easy.
Sure. I've been living in Haines for 21 years in the house I built with my husband. It's powered by water, and I love the natural world. I love flowers. I love taking pictures, and I really love creating and bringing images to life and sharing them with people because it seems to make people happy, especially as Alaskans in the middle of winter. We need color. So I feel like it's a gift I can offer to people.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to show the property.
So hi, I'm Mandy Ramsey.
The video now.
I live here in Haines, Alaska, in the home I built with my husband, and I've been living here since 2000. And my work is really informed by a few factors. And the first one is pretty obvious. It's the natural world. So flowers, they just inspire me. And the beauty of Alaska is healing, and it's magical, and it inspires my work. And we have a creek that flows through our land here, and that water powers our house. So the element of water is really in my bones. And I can take you out back just so you can get a glimpse of my garden, because that's my canvas. It's my live canvas that I work with. And then I just let inspiration strike, and I run out and take pictures in the yard. And I am also a yoga teacher for over 20 years, and so I tend to practice in the yard, and then my practice gives me almost like a new lens when I come out of an hour session, and then I have new eyes and I see some new little detail about a flower or a blade of grass or a tree. And so I'm drawn to take a picture of it and capture that good vibe. And also I write about it because I love to write. So I incorporate those elements into my work. So it's like a little braid. So let me show you around. So this is our beginning of our garden. We have vegetables and flowers and herbs all mixed in. And I tend to stream my yoga classes from this zone throughout the summer. It's one of the gifts of COVID and the pandemic. And throughout the seasons, I really note the changes of the plants, and that informs both my yoga practice and my artistic practice. So we have our vegetables. Everything's kind of leaving into fall right now, right? Summer's exhaling to fall. I wrote a book, Grow Where You're Planted, and it incorporates my poetry and personal essay and my photography along with my yoga practice. So you can check that out. It kind of weaves in the vibe of how I live. So here at our home, we grow our own food. We grow herbs to make our own medicines, vegetables, flowers, so I can give bouquets to friends, and then also take pictures. I'm not a painter. I've always wanted to be, so it's been really fun for me lately to play with my pictures and make them almost look like paintings, and that's been a really exciting process for me. Something I really feel about gardening in particular is gardening can strike up a really interesting conversation with almost anyone anywhere who has gotten their hands in the dirt and seen that miracle of a bulb, such as this dahlia bulb, that was gifted to me by a woman here in Haines, and I stuck it in the dirt, and now here this thing of beauty is. So even in my bio, I write that I feel that flowers in the natural world can sprout friendships, and it's true. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to flowers and nature as a focal point for my work, because it's something that can connect us. Flowers, growing our own food, being in touch with the cycle of the seasons and the land, especially as Alaskans, we feel that sacredness, that connection. So one thing that was a good leap for me as an artist was I lived in a very small cabin for a long time with not a lot of wall space. So I had to find a way to show my work and have it be functional art, something that could be taken off the wall and anywhere. And so one of the first things I did was I printed some of my images on fabric, and that just brought the images to life in a totally different way. And as you can see, then it's unlimited, the possibilities. So I made these, what I call Alaskan wildflower prayer flags. I also have berry prayer flags. I have various types, but they could be hung anywhere just to make a space feel a little more special, a little more sacred. I've had friends who have hung these in babies' rooms, like above cribs. I have another friend who had them over her hospice bed for quite some time. They've been in yoga studios, and as you can see, even here in my hoop house, just to add a little splash of color and life. So that's been a really fun thing to explore, taking the images and putting them into functional things. So I've also printed on pillows and trucker hats and cutting boards, as well as traditional styles of canvas or metal prints and on wood. I don't really feel there's too much of a separation of art and life. Like, we live in an artful or a heartful way. And another gift of this pandemic was my husband and myself and a dear friend, we needed an outdoor classroom space. And so we built this beautiful timber frame with all local wood, and it's a great place for me to come up and sit and not only do my yoga practice, but my writing. And then that's another place that I'll go and I'll just sit and then look at the photos I've taken through the day and then feel the vibe. And up here, as you can probably hear, there's a waterfall that runs through our property. And so it's also that element of water that helps me just clear my mind and really listen for that inspiration and that creative voice, that little spark. And being in a beautiful space like this really helps me to just trust those hunches and just take a leap and try. So this is my yoga room, also our guest massage room. And I always have a journal nearby. So after I've been in a practice and I have some kind of inspiration about my art, or my writing, I write it down right away. I always have a notebook and a pen nearby. And that's pretty much how my book, Grow Where You're Planted, was born, weaving my photography along with poetry and prose and personal essay through the seasons. And that was pretty much born with ideas after really relaxing after my yoga practice and meetings online through poetry classes and just getting inspired also by what I showed you earlier outside. Now I'll take you upstairs to where my shop is. And now you're getting to have a sneak peek of my store. So if you go on my website and buy something, this is where I come up, and this is where all my magic creations live. Everything from big canvases to small canvases and metal prints, kimonos, yoga mats, trucker hats, pillows, umbrellas, prayer flags, and then I also keep some of the places I've been published on the cover of Alaska Women Speak a couple of times. I feel super honored. And in Tidal Echoes. So I feel really, really lucky, and it's a treat to open up my heart and my home and my world to share a little bit about my soul happy art with you. So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for making that video. I think I've known you as an artist for a while, since I've worked at the Jack, and then seeing that video and seeing the space that you live in and really kind of the life that you've curated, it really explains so much about your art and who you are as a person. So feel free, anyone who's interested in different aspects of her art or her process, or even her space, because I know we have a lot of gardeners here too, and I'm sure they'd like to pick your brains too. I've noticed that your art isn't just one thing. It's not like you're a watercolorist. You're a gardener, you're a yogi, you're a mom, you're an Alaskan. You know, you have all these different aspects of you that you've weaved into all in one. You know what I mean? They all intertwine with each other. So as I ask you questions too, feel free to respond with the other things too, not just as like a pure artist, but also as like a human and as a Haines person and as a Alaskan and all the different things. So I guess I'll get started. What are the 3 most important things in your studio? I know a lot of artists struggle with finding space for themselves. So for your work, what are the most essentials?
The first thing for me is light. Being able to see. Light is really important in the quality of light, especially when I'm taking my pictures, and then even when I'm inside working with my products. Light's very important. Beauty. I like surrounding myself with beauty because it's inspirational. You know, the world can be crazy right now, and just having beauty around me really anchors me in my studio and my work. And the other piece is I need it organized. I like knowing where things are. So when I'm, you know, that creative moment strikes, I know exactly where the gold ribbon is to string the prayer flags, or I know exactly where those labels are to work on something. So I like to be organized. Yeah.
Since you do live in such an inspiring place, I'm sure some people might struggle with creative blocks, and I'm sure you still have them, even though you do live in this beautiful spot with a beautiful studio. How do you deal with creative blocks, and what are some of the things that you find are catalysts to those?
Yeah, for me, number one is movement. So going outside in nature and going for a walk, jumping on the trampoline, uh, obviously my yoga practice, dancing, just movement helps get those ideas flowing for me. Music is really helpful. I get excited about music. And I'm lucky to have some wonderful writer friends in my life who I beg them for prompts sometimes when I am blocked in the writing aspect. I'll just say, "Can please? I need a prompt, please." And I'm so grateful that I have Joanne and Christy in my life to just push me in that direction when I need it. So having some people who believe in you, who you can call on and say, I need a prompt."
Winter to be harder with?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I feel for me it's the light for in the winter, but there is this aspect of slowing down and then going through all the photos and then getting sparked of what to create from them. So it is a balance. Like you have more of that inward creative time in the winter. Yeah.
Awesome. Here's a big one. We have a lot of people who are super talented. I do think Alaska really, because of the space and of the beauty that we do have a lot of awesome artists, but a lot of them are too scared, or they don't know how to move forward, or they don't really feel worthy of being labeled as an artist. And you are someone who's been able to take so much of your life and then also just be able to give it to people in different ways. We carry a few of her items at our shop. Again, 10% off for this week. But she has all sorts of stuff. How did you transition from being an artist for yourself to being an artist who produces merchandise for people to buy? How did you get over that hump? And like, what inspired you to do that?
Well, I have two things that inspired me. Number one was I started creating cards just with my pictures on a card. And the process of making those was very meditative for me. And then I would send it to people and write a gratitude on it, like something I loved about them or something I was grateful for. I even did it for like people at the grocery store. Like I would just give them this card, you know? And then people started asking me, do you sell these? And I thought, I don't. But then I started wondering, well, why not? Why not try? And so I tried and I sold like 300 cards at my first holiday bazaar back in 2014. And then I kind of thought, maybe this could go somewhere. And yeah, and then it was like Pandora's box. I opened it up and it was like, where can it go? And the other thing for me, really honestly, was I had a health scare as well. And I really started to look at, well, what feeds my glow? What makes me happy? And what am I here to do? And why am I putting off doing it? You know? And so it just kind of, those two things just sparked me to just go for it. So.
And just put your pictures on everything that you could. You have a lot of intention with the products that you pick. So I do want to touch on that soon. However, as I've learned like more about you and as we've prepared for this, I've also learned that you're a mother and that you have a lot of things going on. You're a teacher. How do you remain being an artist during a pandemic? What are the pros of it, the cons of it? I know a lot of artists are struggling right now selling stuff, and it's a mixed bag right now. So why don't you talk a little bit about that experience for you?
Sure. Yeah, I do wear many hats as a mama of a 9-year-old, very enthusiastic little girl, and a husband who's a professor. And so we've got everyone at home right now. And so it is a balance for sure. I found that a schedule and a routine really helps have harmony with everybody's dynamics. And I just schedule in my art, my writing, my yoga time. And they're like non-negotiables now. And if I don't do them for a day, my husband Scott will even say, like, did you do yoga today? Like, I might start getting a little just like, you know, a little edgy. And so I've just scheduled it in. It's a self-care practice as well. So committing to it. And the with the pandemic, sure, yeah, many stores have even just closed. I had 30 stores up north that I was preparing orders for back in February when everything shut down. And so I try to find the silver lining in it, and it's seeing how people are getting creative to still connect, because I was really missing suddenly being able to go to get inspiration at our local Chill Cat Center and see a band or a poetry reading or a First Friday. You know, those were our social events that you also got new ideas and inspiration. And now that those aren't happening, it's amazing what people are coming up with, like what you guys are doing with this. It is a gift. And who knows if I would have been able to hop on a ferry or an airplane with the weather and make it today here in Southeast, right? But now we have this way to connect. And here my mom from Florida is tuning in at midnight, you know? So it is a gift looking at these ways we are connecting and rising above. And it's also giving real good fodder for that creativity. And for the first time ever, it's like level playing field. We're all feeling these same things, you know? So we can all connect with our humanness, like of feeling isolated, of having so much change. And so there's a way, like everyone has this new lens and we're all in it together. So using that to fuel creativity for anybody who's like, I really just want to do something. It's like, do it, you know?
Absolutely. And touching on that a little bit, how you mentioned that you're like, I'm carving out time for it now. I have to do it. It's a non-negotiable. How much time a week do you try to spend on your art? And I know that that's a complicated question for you, since many pieces of your life are connected to your art, but not necessarily art/business related. But how do you find to make that time besides making it non-negotiable?
Well, for my yoga practice, I carve out at least, because thinking about this question, I carve out at least 15 hours a week just for that. And I carve out about an hour of writing time every morning, right when I wake up, when I'm totally fresh. And I do that Monday through Friday. So I know that's 5 hours plus the writing call that I join. So that's 6 hours for that. And then I always have a camera with me, so I'm taking pictures all the time. That the time, so putting a number on it is hard. And it also fluctuates with the season. You know, in spring when we're busy planting the garden, I have my camera out there in my notebook, but I may not get those thoughts on paper until the next morning. Or if we're canning our fish, you know what that's like. It's like a week process. And you have to stretch for survival just to be able to lift the canner and keep going. So I feel like on those weeks of subsistence living here in Alaska, it shifts, but then it comes back, because that little voice in me is just like, go do it. You know, the other night, I had this piece percolating in me, and I knew this deadline was coming up for a publication on the equinox. And I just shut my door. I locked myself in the room, and I was like, I have to do this now. Like, I'm not going to skirt it. And my family kept trying to come in, and I was like, nope. And then when I came out that night and I just said, I just wrote this, my husband's like, you just wrote that right now? But it had been percolating, you know? So I hope I answered that and didn't just babble.
No, that's great. And I appreciate hearing those stories. I think it's hard for all of us to, art is a form of self-care. And I think for a lot of people, it's easier for them to take care of others than themselves. So art's very easily pushed aside. So it's a good way to hear how you make that time for yourself. It really is self-care. And how do you besides yoga and meditation, how do you use that time as self-care?
For myself, for my art,
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's no separation for me just because it's part of my life. And I'll even weave my daughter into it. Some of those, there was like a painting in this movie that I showed that was one of our days this summer, just like the world was going crazy. And I said, let's think of positive things to paint on these random boards left over from the building project. And she was all excited about it. I was excited about it. And then we started painting all these signs and putting them all around the garden, and then that's part of self-care. Now they're there. I see them. They're these like affirmations. We have another one in the driveway. It says, you're entering a land of magic. And we have another one that says, dance to your own beat. And we like really stumbled on how to paint a beat the proper way with crazy face, And I'm not a painter. And when I was little, I wanted to be. I actually brought this picture. I'm going to show you guys. So this is a Polaroid of me. I'm like 5 or 6 with my art. My dad had a little easel in the basement and I used to paint. And then I think maybe it was like 6th grade. I don't know, Mom, you could write that in the chat. I don't know, 6th grade, I got a Polaroid camera. And boy, my poor parents, I wallpapered my room with pictures. I was like 6th grade with Scotch tape. I mean, huge wall, just pictures. And it was supposed to be just allowed in the closet. And it was like my whole wall. And I remember when we moved from that house and removed the pictures. I mean, it was just awful. But I mean, even at that young age, I was wanting art in my life all the time. So it's amazing if you nourish those things, those little seeds, what they can turn into. And I think everybody has it. Everyone has a little magic seed to nourish. You just need those people around you believing and like mirroring it and, giving you permission, just do it. And if you flunk whatever, you learn something and you did it. And then you learn from your mistake and then you learn, how can I do that different next time? Or, how can I improve on that? But you'll never know unless you try.
Yeah, it seems like the best successes are built of many failures.
Yeah.
Speaking of, what advice would you give to any artists who were starting out who are like, I have my art, I like it, it fulfills me, it's part of my life. Like, any advice that you would give them to move forward or might be scared to? I think it's a big vulnerability to show your work, right?
Absolutely.
I guess what I'm trying to say is any advice that you would give artists trying to break through that vulnerability.
I'd say just go for it. Like if it's sparking you, you have no clue who it's going to touch, and you'd be doing the world a disservice if you didn't at least try to put it out there, and honor that little spark in you, because it's going to spark someone, and you have no clue how your art's going to touch someone. People send me pictures of these prayer flags in places that I would have never thought they would be. And when I created them, I would have never thought that. And to have someone tell me, I'm looking at it in my classroom all day and it's giving me hope. Like that is just, I would have never thought that, right? And so if you want to create and make something, do it, because you have no clue how it's going to ripple out. And you got to at least try, right? We all have to try to keep raising the vibe and putting beauty out there and good vibrations and good intentions. And art is such a beautiful way to do it. So I would just say, go for it, do it. And, in the time of COVID now, it's a little different. Like there's not as many holiday bazaars or farmers markets that you can just go and have a table, but there's ways, and people are figuring out ways. We still had a farmers market all summer here, and there's ways like this avenue. So there's ways to still get your creative gifts out there.
So let's talk about a few of your items. Is there anything that you are most proud about? It could be something that you have with the Jack or just on your website too. What's your favorite thing that you are producing right now?
That's a really hard question.
Like more than one.
I love my flags, and I have all different types, and I just love them. They're just fun. They go anywhere. The kimonos, those are great. So someone wrote headbands. So that's good to know. That was something I just experimented with, and those are fun. I actually don't have many. I love this new item I made that the Jack has. There are these heart spark cards. And, you know, unfortunately, I guess my timing was wrong, because the whole idea was that you would like leave this when you tip someone or when you pay your bill at a restaurant. You just slip in like, trust the journey, you know, or I really wanted to tape this to the janitor's closet at the school, the Radiate Beauty, you know, and just to give someone a little like, whoa, where did this come from? It's like a little love note, you know. Or this is like one of my mottos is shine bright, you know. And so if you saw someone having a hard day, you just like slide that in. And I gave one the first time I actually, you know, here I made this creation, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna put it into action. And we were flying down to Seattle last December, and the lady at Alaska Airlines was having a really hard day. And my daughter Lily was Mama, you should give her the shine bright. Mama, give her shine bright. And I started sweating. I got all nervous. And then I thought, Mandy, just do it. And so as we handed our driver's license, I slipped into shine bright, and she was like, what is this? And my daughter Lily's like, my mama makes those cards. And we said, we're just spreading kindness. And she was so kind. Like, she didn't weigh our bags. She was just like, come on through. So that was a product. I am excited to see how that loops around the world at some point. And yeah, and I also really like the trucker hats. I think they're a lot of fun and they're functional. And yeah, I feel like the images really speak of the landscape here.
Yeah, the trucker hats are a big seller at the Jack. We do have them online right now. And Jocelyn, I see that you're saying I want some of those cards. They're online and with 10% off. So yes. And then you also have stuff like the wisdom cards. I think we are both in low in stock on that. We have cards of hers, but if you want to go over to Mandy's website too, she has pillows. She has yoga mats, right?
Yep.
You have kimono, like what you're wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, this picture on this kimono, I took this at a friend's garden here in Haines. Her name's Mardell Gunn. She's just an incredible gardener. And the colors of her dahlias against like these purple delphinium. I was at a garden party at her house, and there were so many lovely women having tea and yummy food in the garden. And I was laying under her bushes half the time taking pictures because it was just so incredible. And I thought, I have to put that on something to wear. So it turned out really well.
Is there anything else you want to talk about or mention before we set up?
I think I'm just super grateful that I've had this opportunity. I've never done anything like this. I was really nervous, but you made it very easy. And I'm just so grateful to be connected with the Jack and Juno and artists near and far. This is a really neat way to stay connected.
Well, we're happy to have you as part of the Jack Lobby Shop family. I'm sure you will be for a very long time to come. I'm excited to see all the new things you come up with, especially the cards. I really love everything that you do with that. And if you guys want to check out more of Mandy, her website's right down at the bottom underneath us, right down there. You can check that out or check out the Jack stuff. And with that said, I'm going to say goodnight to you guys. Thank you for coming to our first ever Lobby Shop After Dark. Thank you, Mandy. You've been amazing.
Thank you.
Keep your eyes out for her. She's always doing something new.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody near and far, for tuning in. Thanks for your support.
Thank you. Have a great night, guys.